I travel the world, man. Like, I done lived in Europe, I done been in the military, I done been to Iraq. I travel the world, man. I done seen a lot. I view it as like a third world country, man. Like, this place not normal here. And we understand that. That's the crazy part.
What was our guide to the parts of the city few outsiders get to see.
But in Chicago, you gotta be ready, man. Like, I don't know how to reiterate that. Like, ain't no second chances, man. When we turn these alleys right here, you gonna already see the shorties on top of the cars. They know the cars. You gotta come through here slow. You can't come speeding up through our block. They'll shoot your shit up. And I'm talking about all of them in high school, you know what I mean? Like, this shit for real. That's how they protect themselves. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we out here for real.
You know?
Ain't no playing out here on GG.
You gotta keep them shits for real.
Yeah, we out here.
So where have we come now?
All right, we're on the way to go see my artist, GGE Newski, and we like on the south suburbs of Chicago. He's basically restrained to the house because he's on house arrest.
Right, okay. Danger.
Danger, it's dangerous. It's real dangerous. You got people on this block into it with the people on the next block. It's right around the corner. You can't even go under the Vitlock. You can't even go around the corner because you into it with these people around the corner. It's a place full of madness.
Newski's on house arrest, accused of carrying illegal guns, a charge he denies.
My dream is to make it. I want to be a rapper, just make it. Feed my family. That's all I'm focused on right now. Feed my family. Feed the ones who's loyal to me. People not loyal here no more.
The vast majority are young black men.
Definitely. I mean, growing up with us, it was more about hustling and trying to get money. The younger generation now, not so focused on money. They're more focused on violence, killing, and, you know what I'm saying, all the internet, social media, wars, violence, and all that, you know, and it then just spills out into the streets, you know, and all day long they ride around trying to find somebody to shoot.
Sometimes it does look normal. But this party on Duop's block is to remember his best friend, who was gunned down nearby.
It's a thing that the police authority don't like exactly what we do or the way we live. We actually don't like the way that we live. But when you're pushed into a way of life, when you're forced into a way of life, how else can you live?
You terrorize, you torture and provoke me. You exploit and bully my soul. You are the demon, a devil, a monster of your very own. You backstab me when I sit and work. You try to impress our neighbors for business, greed, profit, forever advertising on your self-defense karate school cookbook. Respect is what you try to sell, but everyone knows you're a big bully. Poke my eyes out when I try to sleep. It's called Mo and Curly. Encouraging your students to do the same in a big hurry. To terrorize people of color for confidence, learning and play. What a big creep. You're driving out minorities from your workplace, neighborhood, street. Trying to act cool like you're doing good. The authority of residential zoning and real estate distribution crook, snook, took. Liberate our souls, liberate our freedom, backstab my soul, incarcerate our kingdom, deny us money, deny us freedom, backstab my soul, torture and mislead them, backstab my soul, take away our freedom. You target those who threaten your image, those who you envy, those who know enough to discredit your big belly, camouflaging the attack, cheap shots around the clock in darkness while wearing black. Bedroom terror horror show is what you really sell? Could it be? Training for human trafficking, slavery at my front door bell. Training your armies of white knights, criminalizing your opponents when they do the same. Pimpology has many colors, but the dark ones are the only ones who really pay. Exposing the truth about war, crime at every angle, and never-ending battle of exploitation. Making America the battlefield of love, giving it a bad name forever. Segregations. Romantics have gotta be insane. Psychological accusations of a mental illness worst kind. You're crazy to accuse. Every time we testify, we lose. Even if we know how to rhyme. It is our dark skin that locks the bars around our souls. Incarcerated at birth, even if we steal everything from your Liberation Proclamation store, free bird. Liberate our souls, liberate our freedom, backstab my soul, incarcerate our kingdom, deny us money, deny us freedom, backstab my soul, torture and mislead them, backstab my soul, take away our freedom. Respect is what you try to sell, but everyone knows you're a big bully. Poke my eyes out when I try to sleep, let's call Mo and Curly. Encouraging your students to do the same in a big hurry. To terrorize people of color for confidence, learning and play. What a big creep. You're driving out minorities from your workplace, neighborhood, street. Trying to act cool like you're doing good. The authority of residential zoning and real estate distribution crook, snook, took. Liberate our souls. Liberate our freedom, backstab my soul, incarcerate our kingdom, deny us money, deny us freedom, backstab my soul, torture and mislead them, backstab my soul, take away our freedom.
We lost a lot of talented individuals in the streets of Chicago that could have been president of the United States. They could have been governors, mayors, the biggest entertainers in the industry. Look at a skyline, it's beautiful. You think about how beautiful their talent was, but then you realize where you at.
Before I seen it, now I got the racks. Marcella's with the loot, but who keeping track? Yeah, you peeping at the thotties like he keep a sack. Run up on me wrong, same place where you be sleeping at. I seen it for it happen. They was lame before they saw rap. They do threats but nothing happened.
When I'm passing through certain neighborhoods, if it's already a heightened alert of violence in that neighborhood and it's tension, you gotta hurry up and get from point A to point B. You can't be just, we call it lacking, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be cruising through no neighborhood that's in war with each other, you know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, they probably don't recognize the car you in at the time, and they can mistake you as a shooter from one of their rival gangs, and they'll open fire on you.
Chicago hasn't had a day without a shooting or homicide since February last year. The hometown paper's been tracking every death. Most victims are young black men, often from a handful of neighborhoods. Many of the killers too. 4,500 Americans were killed in Iraq, this many in Afghanistan. More have been killed in Chicago since 2001 than in both wars combined.
An international medical humanitarian organization says that the Saudi blockade of Yemen is killing as many civilians as the country's war. The head of the Doctors Without Borders group said many people are dying because of Riyadh's prevention of medicine from reaching the sick. Zhuan Liu said Riyadh needs to put in place ways to get supplies to come in a safe way. It was the latest warning about the dire humanitarian situation in Yemen 4 months after Saudi Arabia began bombing the impoverished Arab country. Riyadh has imposed a unilateral aerial and naval blockade on Yemen amid its deadly airstrikes. Last month, the United Nations Security Council urged Saudi Arabia to lift its blockade, stressing that the ships carrying food, fuel, and other vital supplies must be permitted to enter ports in Yemen, which is on the brink of famine.
Welcome to the Investors Trading Academy, talking glossary of financial terms and events. Our word of the day is economic sanctions, a way of punishing errant countries which is currently more acceptable than bombing or invading them. One or more restrictions are imposed on international trade with the targeted country in order to persuade the target's government to change a policy. Possible sanctions include limiting export or import trade with the target, constraining investment in the target, and preventing transfers of money involving citizens or the government of the target. Sanctions can be multilateral, with many countries acting together, perhaps under the auspices of the United Nations, or unilateral, when one country takes action on its own. How effective sanctions are is debatable. According to one study, between 1914 and 1990, there were 116 occasions on which various countries imposed economic sanctions. 2/3 of these failed to achieve their stated goals. The cost to the country imposing sanctions can be large, particularly when it's acting unilaterally. It is estimated that in 1995, imposing sanctions on other countries cost the American economy over $15 billion in lost exports and 200,000 in lost jobs in export industries.
This is how Yemen's internally displaced people live. Shanty roadside shelters which don't even protect them from the weather, let alone the greater dangers.
We were displaced by war. People gave us some mattresses and blankets. We need food. We're on the street. It's very cold here. Charitable people feel pity for us. They gave us some rice and some beans. We're in desperate need of clothes and blankets. We left all our belongings behind us. We have fled having nothing more than our clothes.
More than 3 million people have been displaced since the Saudi-led coalition began bombing the Houthi rebels in 2015. And almost 150,000 of them have settled in the coastal province of Hodeidah. It's largely considered a proxy war between regional powers, Saudi Arabia and Iran, triggering what's being called one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world.
The Saudis bombed us. We headed to different places, including Khamis and Shafar. We finally settled in this area. We are pleased to feel secured here. We need clothes for our children and women. It seems nothing to be given. As you see, we are displaced on this platform.
And there's a chance they may be displaced yet again as Saudi forces and its allies advance on the port town. The UN warns an offensive on the Hodeidah port would displace more than 400,000 people.
We fled from our homes after the non-stop rocket attacks which targeted our area. My father, my grandfather, and my mother came with me. Heavy attacks were conducted on our area. We were wandering, not knowing where to go. Our children were with us. God guided us a way to escape.
The country is now on the brink of famine, and its infrastructure lies in ruins. People are impoverished and threatened by diseases including cholera. And with the easing of the blockade due to expire, millions of Yemeni lives hang in the balance. Rahul Radhakrishnan, TRT World.
Number 6. Segment your forces. In 1805, Napoleon Bonaparte faced an attack by Austrian troops led by Karl Mack, upon which Napoleon divided his troops and sent them into battle with specific instructions of surrounding the enemy. The French units were free to move, flexible and quick. The Austrian troops surrendered. This is the opposite of concentrating your forces. Hence, it's on you to know when to unite and when to divide your army, slow but strong, or fast and precise.
Lesson number 4. Ground on which each side has liberty of movement is open ground. On open ground, do not try to block the enemy's way. Trying to block an enemy on open ground leaves you susceptible to be attacked from more than one side. In extreme circumstances, you could be completely surrounded. This is what happened at the Battle of Cannae between Hannibal's Carthaginian army and the Roman forces led by two commanders, Varro and Paulus. Hannibal had won previous battles using trickery, so Varro wanted warfare in an open battlefield where his larger army could not be ambushed by hidden soldiers. Paulus was more cautious, believing it was foolish to fight on open ground. When the two forces met each other, Hannibal had weakened his infantry in the centre and ordered them to implement a controlled retreat. Using a pincer movement, Hannibal then managed to surround the entire Roman army with his quicker, stronger flanks and kill nearly all of them. When on ground where you can move easily, Use quick movements to deflect and manoeuvre the enemy into positions where you can overpower them. Be vigilant, as both sides have the same ease of movement.
Everything different now, you know what I'm saying? And it all started from the way they just took all the gang leaders out the hoods, you know what I'm saying? It changed everything.
And everyone's got a gun. Everybody got a gun. I don't know, listen, I never seen so many guns. Like, we had a lot of guns, but I never seen so many guns like now, ever.
And
It's like they dropped.
shooting it.
It's like they dropped off, like somebody dropped off crates of guns in everybody's hood. Like, it seemed like it was designed for a motherfucker to lose. Like, somebody putting all these guns here. Well, you got little kids and everybody got guns. And they don't got just little 22s. And when we was coming up, it was 22s, 25s, 38s. And they got big guns and 30-shot clips and shit. I think that a lot of guys need to die in order to make it better. I think some of these niggas need to get killed and knocked off to get them out the way, make it a better place, because some of them.
Okay, so we've been stood here for like 5 minutes. I've seen 2 police cars, 1 ambulance kind of go by.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't safe over here at all.
It's fucked up. All you can do is pray. All you can do is pray and try to live right, because life is short and your life can end like that. So all you can do is try and help as many people as you can while you're here. Tell the people that, I tell all my brothers, all my family, man, I love you. I love you. I love you, because you never know when it's the last time that you're going to see him.
All right, man.
All right, look.
Y'all ready?
Hello?
Hey, Duo.
Yeah.
That was good. What just happened? Why did we have to leave so quickly?
Because they in war around now. The two gangs that's around now, they in beef. That's why so many people get shot in that area. And somebody just got shot like a couple blocks up. He told me to hurry up and get y'all, you know what I'm saying, on the expressway, because it wasn't safe over there.
So it wasn't safe for us to stay?
Yeah, it wasn't safe for us to stay, because somebody could have just pulled up on us and did a drive-by.
It's senseless violence at the end of the day, but it's like, what do you do when you caught in that moment? You know, you rather be caught with protection than without protection.
Saying that on red bottles, niggas don't read nothing. Black man, real shit, man. Throw away.
The young people's doing the killing right now. You feel me? 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds is doing the killing.
Number 3, urban terrorism. As just about everyone knows, but too few talk about publicly, in majority black cities, violent black-on-black crime is rampant. A Department of Justice study from 1980 through 2008 revealed that blacks accounted for almost half of the nation's homicide victims, 47.4%, and more than half of the offenders, 52.4%, all while being 13% of America's population. The Tuskegee Institute conducted a study of all known lynchings of blacks that occurred between 1882 through 1968. During this 86-year span, which is essentially the post-Civil War era up to the Civil Rights era, 3,446 blacks were reportedly lynched. Presently, black-on-black murder eclipses the number of blacks lynched over the course of 80 years, roughly every 6 months. Unbelievably, the culpability for this disproportionate amount of mayhem actually lies with a menacing 2 to 3% minority within the black populace. I call them urban terrorists. And since they're literally spawned from problem number 2, the black community protects them. Problem number 2.
It's right here in the neighborhood. It's just in the police station right here. You know what I'm saying? So that shit don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no guidance out here. That's the problem. That's why I ain't like back in the day. Ain't no guidance out here. So it's like every man for themselves.
Right.
See, back in the day, you mean everybody need that gun. Because it was guidance. You knew not to go over there because this person right here was going to get on your ass. Now, it's every man for himself. You better get your motherfucking gun before you get your ass shot. And that shot might be killed. You know what I'm saying? Shut up. Because we all know, man, come from this motherfucker, you either going to sell drugs, you going to rob a motherfucker, you going to get you a bogus ass job, paying you $8 an hour, then you're going to have to go sell some drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit all is a maze to you to get right back on the block and sell some drugs.
You can't really come outside at night.
When my granddaughter come outside, I have to come outside with her. When I walk back in the house, she's right behind me going back in the house with me. So.
Because of what? What are you worried about?
We don't know who's gonna come down here shooting.
Man, I come through doing all this shooting, man. And shot this fucking baby in the fucking stomach, man.
Her fear is real. This is what happened to one little girl this summer, 6-year-old Takara.
Breaking news update on the 6-year-old girl shot while playing outside her home as she fights for her life. A plea for witnesses to come forward.
I didn't even know that my daughter was shot. They steady shooting through the window and everything. So when my daughter ran, we all ran in the house. My daughter said, "Mom, my stomach hurt." So I asked my brother, I'm like, "Did my daughter get shot?" He was like, "No." And me as a mother, I checked her anyway. And there, when I raised up her shirt, there was her intestine gushing out of her stomach.
How common is it that the shooting around here?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, every day. I am so scared for my kids. I'll tell you the truth, I'm really scared for my kids. You see this right above my head could have been shot.
That's on my email right there.
Yeah.
Marshall 2006
Yes, it's terrible. I really, really need to relocate.
You got games on your iPhone? No capital.
I can't just sit here and live in fear like this. It's terrible.
Overnight, Doha has found its two biggest Gulf partners freezing trade, shutting down more than 80% of the country's food sources. This economic siege aimed to put pressure on Qatar to accept their political terms, but so far that hasn't been successful.
It is not possible for a simple reason. The state of Qatar has been aware of the fact that it might be encountered by its brotherly neighboring countries because of its gallant politics. Therefore, since 2010, the country has been taking lots of measures to secure this.
An economic siege in this modern globalized world is very hard to implement. There are air fleets now that can cross borders, and Qatar Airways is one of the biggest air fleets in the world. In addition, there are many countries like Turkey who were ready to transport food supplies. In less than 20 hours, Doha has formed a list of alternative sources to replace those countries and is ready to start shipping right away.
The news created panic during the first couple of days. Shelves that used to have fresh milk, dairy products, rice and canned food became empty. Yet as the days passed, the queues at supermarket chains disappeared.
You can call it panic buying or anything else, but most of the people who joined this stacking flight will now stay for weeks or maybe more than a month without buying, because they will find products on shelves every day.
Qatar responded quickly, but the process was complicated. It turned its frozen Qatar Airways flights into cargo, shipping tons of products from the closest partners in the region like Turkey. And the authorities have also waived some restrictions on imported goods. For example, the usual Arabic labels or stickers on products are no longer required. And this milk carton is all written in Turkish and comes exactly as it is displayed in Turkey.
What are the 5 biggest issues facing blacks in America? Here's my list. Problem number 5, the victim mentality. Nothing holds someone back more than seeing himself as a victim. Why? Because the victim is not responsible for his situation. Everything is someone else's fault. And the victim sees little chance of improving his life. How can he get ahead if someone is holding him back? All this makes the victim unhappy, frustrated, and angry. This is how too many blacks see themselves, as victims. So much so that their victim status becomes their primary identity and their ruling ideology. I call it victimology. Unfortunately, many black churches preach this victimology. Many black parents pass it on to their children, inner city schools teach it to their students, and the black media reinforce it. Meanwhile, the NAACP and other black grievance groups fundraise on it.
I'm just trying to change the cycle, you know, and it's hard when you don't really have help, you know what I'm saying? Like, and in a way, it's like it's like we put in a weird position, you know what I'm saying? Because hey, hold on, cut real quick.
It's okay, man.
All they want to do is just get out of here, man. We only doing this shit to get out. It's crazy, man. Just to go to the beach, we gotta have guns with us, man. Like, this shit ain't normal, man. I'm forced to do this shit everywhere I fucking go, man. Like, this shit don't end. You know what I'm saying? This is a never-ending fucking cycle, man. Ain't no way out of this shit. You know what I'm saying? This shit make you paranoid. This shit, it fuck you up, man.
Yeah.
And that's why we do so many fucking drugs, because we just trying to cope with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Takes the pain away.
we human, man. Like, we just fucking human.
I lost my pops when I was 7, had to man up. He introduced me to the hustle, told me band up. I got my grams up, the youngest of my mama kids. I bagged it up but never trapped it out my mama crib.
Son that's 7, and I got a daughter that's 4. And I haven't taught neither one of them how to ride a bike yet, because it's just, the environment they live in is not safe. I love you.
I love you.
Oh, I love you more. My biggest fears involving my children is them being caught up in the streets, you know what I'm saying?
Those shots fired at Hirsch and Tom and this one just coming in.
Chicago's had more killing than LA and New York combined this year. The city looks set for another year of record killing. The Chicago PD ignored our request for an interview.
Was that from the Hollywood Grill?